The purpose of this video is to show you how to use some of the tools in Canvas for giving both specific feedback and more holistic feedback. What I'm using here, just so you know that I am not compromising anyone's privacy in making this video, this is actually from the Turnitin Feedback Studio demo. So this is not a student paper. I am not compromising their privacy in showing this to you. So I'll put the link for this video in the description below the box. It makes me sound like a YouTube star when I say that. So you can come and practice and play around with this yourself. But right now I'm going to hit no thanks on the short tour. You can obviously take the short tour if you want to. But I'm going to click no thanks. And then I'm going to show you. So this is what it looks like when a student Turnitin paper. If you had, obviously you probably have more than one student in your class, I'm going to guess. They would all be listed here, the students who turned it in. And you can see this paper is ungraded because there's no grade here. So a couple things I want to point out to you. First of all, the Turnitin layers. There's two. There's the grading layer and the similarity layer. If looking at the similarity bothers you while you're trying to grade it, you can get rid of it. But if you click on it, then the similarity comes up. And you can see poor little Teresa kind of copied a lot of this essay. But we're not going to worry about that, or not Teresa, Tessa, excuse me. So we're not going to worry about Tessa's inability to ethically use her sources yet. That's for a different time. I just want to show you how to use some of the quick tools. So I'm going to click on this box to make it go away. But that you can get it to appear by clicking here in the grade layer, or you can also do this. This will turn it on if you click here. Okay, and then it'll show you where the sources are, but that is not the purpose of this video. So I'm actually going to turn off the similarity check by clicking on this and then by unchecking the box, because I really just want to look at the tools you have. So when we as teachers give feedback, and I am an English teacher, but again, this might be for a science class. You might have students turn in like something for art class, like a project or something. A lot of times we like to give different types of feedback. We like to give feedback that's really specific, like the way a specific sentence might be worded, or we might want to give feedback about a specific part of the essay. We may also want to give them more global, more holistic feedback at the end, like overall, these are my impressions. These are some of the things you want to work on. These are some of the things that you did well. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'll start with the specific feedback. For the most part, that's how a lot of us grade. So a lot of these tools that are in Turnitin are intended to replicate the experience of grading on paper in the good old days. Maybe some of you are too young to remember those good old days, but for me, that is how I did probably a majority of my grading for like the first 20 years of my teaching career. I think it's been in the last 10 years that I've really started using Turnitin. So this over here is, right now it's hidden, or right now you don't see much, you just see all these signs and signals. But this first one is your quick marks. So quick marks are an amazing thing. Quick marks are in different categories, but they are all kinds of different preloaded comments that you can add to an essay. So let's say, for example, you're wanting to look up format. You're wanting to say, okay, let's say pretend there's a capitalization error. You can drag this over here. Maybe that's probably not supposed to be capitalized, but maybe that's supposed to be capitalized, and you want to put that there. And then when you put it on there, it just says capitalization. I will show you that some of the other comments are a little more developed than that. But when it says assign criterion, then you can also connect this to your rubric, which I have a separate video on Rubric. And then so the student can click on it and see, oh, I didn't capitalize, and that's probably going to have some kind of impact on my score in the conventions category. That's a pretty small one, but you'll see sometimes if it requires a little bit more explanation. Even punctuation, this is kind of nice. They have, okay, let's say there's a missing semicolon. Then it kind of goes through and says what a semicolon is supposed to do. And of course, in a perfect world, the student reads that, reflects on it, and realizes what a semicolon is supposed to do. I know that might not happen, but it is kind of nice to have that option, because you never know when a student is going to read something and they're going to finally understand what a comma splice error is. And you're going to finally say, oh my gosh, they've got it. So again, comma splice would be, and you might be thinking, oh, well, is this just all about finding mistakes? They do have them in other categories. They have like source credibility. If you're doing something, with where they're looking for sources, and you might put this one in that says credible website, and it says, it is clear that you carefully evaluate the credibility of this website. So that's a compliment, right? It isn't always about telling them what they're doing wrong. Find a scholarly source. This source does not appear to be scholarly. So those are the kinds of prefab comments that you can put on there so that you can sort of get them to reflect on that. Okay, so those are the quick marks. Now you might be like, okay, well, I'm reading. There's another way to get to your quick marks. Let's say you want to like make a comment like this was a well-written that you can click here. You notice what happens. I click there. These tools appear. This is the quick mark. This is where I can find my quick mark sources. This is what's called a bubble comment. That is for those comments you just want to make. You just want to say something to them. This sounds as if you may have borrowed too much from your sources. Okay, so you want to make it a little more personal. You want to say, we talked about this in class. Remember we did this in class? You can do that. And then you can still link it to something in the rubric. So that might be, I don't know, claim. I'm not sure what I would put that in. That seems like it has something to do with use of sources, which is not, but that's okay. This is a fake thing. Let's say you keep making the same comment and maybe you like the way you word it. Maybe it is like a quick mark that's preloaded and to turn it in, but maybe you have a really magic way of saying this. You have a magic way of telling them how not to have comma splice errors. Or then you can convert it to a quick mark. Let's say you're like, I am so tired of constantly telling them they're borrowing too much from their sources. So I would click on here. I could title it, and of course I would say something, I don't know, let's say too similar to sources. I feel like I spelled similar right. Did I spell similar right? I don't know, I'm not getting the red squiggly mark. And then I can also add that to a set that I wanted to. Maybe that's going to go in my commonly used because I use it all the time. Maybe that goes in my academic integrity. That certainly sounds like it would fit in academic integrity. And then I would save it. And then it would go into there. And then I would have it to use later, like unfortunately, 3 papers later, I have the same thing wrong and I don't want to have to retype that. So I will tell you, when I started using Turnitin, I was like, I don't want to do this. I was used to handwriting my comments. But once I got used to it, and once I started to build up a great repository of comments that I like to make, I thought it was great. And it sure saves on the aging back not to have that big stack of papers in my backpack. Okay, so then I would just go through and finish grading the paper. Those are the quick marks. Oh, one more thing. If you want to write something on the paper, if you want to write like, I don't know what you might want to write, like Tessa, or I might put like, okay, let me go over here. So I might say, don't forget, this is MLA formatting, forget page number. So, I could do that. I could do that with a quick mark. But sometimes it's nice to just the students see it. They don't have to click on it, because what happens when a student grades your paper, they will have to click on it. And sometimes that's really, especially with long comments. But if it's something real quick that you want to call their attention to, you can just put it like that. The other thing you can do is if you want to make a comment, let's say you want to comment on this first sentence, you can highlight it and you'll see you get these same quick tools. One of them is different, the strike through. I can do this if I think that should be gotten rid of for whatever reason. I don't think that as a teacher I would do that without also adding a bubble comment, which is this one, to explain why that should be gotten rid of. Like, this is irrelevant to your point. I don't know. I would probably feel compelled to give some kind of explanation. I don't typically just start crossing out things students have written, nor do I add to it. And I would encourage you just to keep that to a minimum anyway, because if we start rewriting the students, they're going to get the wrong idea about what revision is. Breach. So anyway, that's a comment that you can use if for some reason you wanted to cross something off. The other thing you can do when you highlight, you don't have to cross off, you can highlight, like actually highlight it. So let's say I want to make a bubble comment. I want to say something about this sentence. So let's say I've been ragging on her about bad use of sources. This is a good use of your source. I appreciate your paraphrasing. I don't know, just if I want to give her a little positive and show her how she can do this correctly, if she would just, if she would just be a little bit more aware. And so like if I hate the color yellow, I can make it green. If I hate, there's 5 different colors. That's kind of nice. If you're really cool and you want to color code it, you can. I'm not that organized, but sometimes I just like the other colors because it just keeps me awake while I'm grading. So those are different comments that you can use. So just to review, there's the quick marks, which is all the wonderful preloaded comments, ones that you can add your own to. There's the bubble comments if you just want to make a novel comment that you've come up with yourself. There's this inline comment, which gives you the ability to type on the paper. And then remember, if you highlight, you'll still get those same options if you highlight, but instead of having the inline, the way to type, you'll get the strike through. And let's say you cross it out. You're like, no, I don't think I should have crossed that out. That probably wasn't my finest moment as a teacher. You should be able. There we go. See how there's the garbage can there? You're like, hey, I shouldn't really be crossing out students' work. I was kind of in a crabby mood when I did that. Then you can get rid of it. Okay, so you're not like beyond the point of no return. Sometimes we make a comment and we realize we're wrong. God forbid. You can say, oh, I'm going to get rid of this comment for whatever reason. Then you can just get rid of it. So it's pretty cool that you can link your comments to the rubric. I think that that's really powerful. It helps you as a grader because when you go to grade it, it will tell you, look, there are 2 comments and they were both negative about how they handled their claim. They probably shouldn't be getting an exceptional score. They probably should be getting a score like maybe not even skilled. Maybe on this one, maybe they're like developing. Maybe that's where they are. And you can see that changed the score here. So this is some kind of Common Core rubric out of 5, so I'm not familiar with it. But I showed you already in a different video. If you're watching all my videos, and why wouldn't you be? I kind of already showed you how to do that. So that is helpful that you can see like, oh, I have 2 about claim. What were they? Conventions, was this a compliment or was this a mistake? If I have a lot of those, again, they're probably looking at a score of around here. Okay, a lot of us also, in addition to just kind of nitpicking through the paper, we like to give more like global comments or more holistic comments at the end, that you could type those here. You can link to like a website if you wanted to be like, you can see that there's like you could hyperlink, like if you're like, click here for a handout on how to like avoid comma splice errors, or click here to show how to do the proper MLA formatting. Yes, the student is probably not going to click on it, but you never know. I live in hope. We all do. I think that's why we keep teaching. You can even, do a little formatting if you're like, do not copy from your sources if you're feeling a little salty. The other thing too is if there's something, and this sometimes happens when you're teaching writing, there's something you really just want to explain to them. It's really hard to type it as a comment. You're having a hard time wording it. You could leave a voice comment. Sadly, there is no video comment. That said, I don't know that I ever need to see myself on video again after this pandemic, but you might be missing the fact that you can't make it. But you can always make a video through screencast if I like I'm doing now and embed it in the essay. If you have the time, if you have the inclination, if you have the small enough class sizes where that makes sense. So that is basically kind of an overview of how to use the sort of specific tools, the like kind of like on the paper tools, and the more holistic comments in Turnitin. Turnitin has like a reputation of catching cheaters, right? Because we can catch Tessa cheating, right? And that is where it kind of gets its fame and like glory or whatever. But I do think that the feedback system is really, when you get used to it, is really powerful and can really help students. The only criticism I would have is that It's a little bit, it's not super intuitive. If you're using Turnitin through Canvas, checking the feedback is not quite as intuitive. You have to hit like the little % thing. What I typically do with my students, I did during the pandemic, is I gave them a little 2-minute video that I found online. So I'll also link that video below because that explains how to do it. And a 2-minute video is just really important because students don't like to watch long videos, and maybe we don't as adults sometimes. Okay, thank you for your attention. My name is Paula Doloff. I'm a teacher at Thomas Jefferson High School, and I'm on the adjunct faculty at San Antonio College. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email. Thanks. Bye.